Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, the 89th chapter, texts 18 through 20. We're going to complete a particular pastime, particular section of the Bhagavatam so that the next speaker can start a new section. So which is why we are covering 3 verses today to complete this. One of them does not have a purport and the other 2 have purports, but they are somewhat short also. Trividha kritastasya rakshasa asura suraha Gunanya mayaya srishtaha Sattvam tattirtha sadhanam Trividha kritayastasya Rakshasa asura sura Gunanya mayaya srishtaha Sattvam tattirtha sadhanam Trividha kritayastasya Rakshasa asura sura Gunanya mayaya srishta Sattvam tattirtha sadhanam. Please chant. Akshasa asura sura Gunanya mayaya srishta Tattvam tattirtha sadhanam Trividha kritayastasya Rakshasa asura sura Gunanya mayaya srishta Sattvam tattirtha sadhanam. Vaishnavis. Trividha kritayastasya Rakshasa asura sura Gunanya mayaya srishta Sattvam tattirtha sadhanam. Trividha, of 3 kinds, akritaya, forms, tasya, of his, rakshasa, the ignorant spirits, asura, the demons, sura, and the demigods, Gunanya, qualified by the material modes, mayaya, by his material energy, srishtaha, created, sattvam, the mode of goodness, tat, among them, tirtha, of success in life, sadhanam, the means of attainment. Please also repeat the translation. The Lord expands into 3 kinds of manifest beings. The Rakshasas, the demons, and the demigods, all of whom are created by the Lord's material energy, and conditioned by her modes. But among these three modes, it is the mode of goodness which is the means of attaining life's final success. So these translations and purports are by the disciples of His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So I will read the others and then we'll continue the class. Purport. In Krishna, Srila Prabhupada writes, there are different kinds of people existing in the modes of material nature. Those who are in the mode of ignorance are called Rakshasas. Those in the mode of passion are called Asuras, demons. And those in the mode of goodness are called Suras, or demigods. Under the direction of the Supreme Lord, these three classes of men are created by material nature. But those who are in the mode of goodness have a greater chance to be elevated to the spiritual world, back home, back to Godhead. Text 19. Shri Shuka Uvacha Itham Saraswata Vipra Nrinam Samshayanuttaye Purushasya Padam Bhoja Sevaya Tadgatim Gatah. Translation. Shukadeva Goswami said, the learned Brahmanas living along the river Saraswati came to this conclusion in order to dispel the doubts of all people. Thereafter, they rendered devotional service to the Supreme Lord's lotus feet and attained His abode. Shri Suta Uvacha Ityetan Munitanayasya Padmagandha Piyusham Bhavabhayabhit Parasya Pumsah Sushlokam Shravanaputai Pibatyabhikshnam Pantodvabhramana Parishramam Jahati. So the translation of this verse is, Shri Suta Goswami said, thus did this fragrant nectar flow from the lotus mouth of Shukadev Goswami, the son of the sage Vyasadeva. This wonderful glorification of the Supreme Person destroys all fear of material existence. A traveler who constantly drinks this nectar through his ear holes will forget the fatigue brought on by wandering along the paths of worldly life. Purport. This narration by Srila Shukadev Goswami is precious in two ways. For those suffering from spiritual infirmity, it is an effective tonic to cure the disease of illusion. And for surrendered Vaishnavas, it is a delicious and invigorating beverage, fragrant with the aroma of Sri Shuka's realizations. Om Ajnanatmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Mitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Barijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Dalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Mandamatir Gati Matsarvasva Padam Bojau Radha Madana Mohanau Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanastho Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devau Preshtha Sevamanau Smarami Shriman Rasarasarambi Vamshi Vatattatastitah Karshan Venu Swaner Gopi Gopinatha Shriyestunah Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhyavacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm expressing my gratitude to all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada and all the senior grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada also, those who have served for 30, 40, 50 plus years. Because without them, Srila Prabhupada would have come and gone, and people like me would have been none the wiser. I completely missed him. So we're very grateful to him. I'm also expressing gratitude to all the devotees who have dedicated their lives to the service of Srila Prabhupada, especially those of you who have done so at a very young age. All of us, the rest of us, should really follow in their footsteps and serve them to the best of our capacity. So I'm seeking prayers and blessings from all of you so that something of value can be said, so that your time and your attention can be properly utilized. So we'll do a quick context of where we are in the Bhagavatam. We are actually in the 89th chapter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the smiling face of Sri Krishna. So it is clear to me that I am not qualified to speak on the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but it's the order of my spiritual master to preach and try and share Krishna consciousness. So I'm doing that just based on that order. But with your prayers and blessings, anything is possible, because Vaishnavas are very, very powerful. Okay. Here we are ending a particular section of the Bhagavatam where the Brahmanas, the Vaishnavas living on the banks of the river Saraswati, were having a discussion as to who is the supreme deity. Because when we read the Vedic literatures, the 18 Puranas and the Upapuranas and the Upanishads and the various other literatures, there can be some kind of confusion in the minds of an ordinary person. What to speak of an ordinary person? There was confusion even in the minds of the great sages who was sitting on the banks of the river Saraswati. Very pious sages. This river is so pious that flows underground now, is not visible anymore, because such pious people don't even exist in the world today. So they were discussing this, who is the supreme deity? Is it Lord Brahma? Is it Lord Shiva? Or is it Lord Vishnu? They were discussing this. So Bhrigu Muni took it upon himself. He was deputed by all the sages. This is another thing in devotional service. We don't actually do something on our own. We are deputed by an authority or by other devotees. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, I'm unqualified, but the devotees have insisted that I write the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And similarly, Srila Prabhupada said, I have come to the West on the order of my spiritual master. Similarly, our spiritual masters are doing whatever they're doing on the order of Srila Prabhupada. And we should continue in this process and not be upstarts, doing things on our own without getting the appropriate instruction from a senior devotee. So Bhrigu Muni went and he decided that the test of tolerance would be the best test. So he devised a particular way. He insulted Lord Brahma, his father, by not offering him respect. And Lord Brahma got angry that his son was, that his son was not offering him respect. Then he went to Lord Shiva and merely not offering respect, because Lord Shiva is a superior personality actually than Lord Brahma, where the son actually is superior to the father, a rare case. He was verbally abused by Bhrigu Muni. And then Lord Shiva took his trident and started chasing Bhrigu Muni, and Parvati Devi calmed him down. And then he went to Lord Vishnu and he did a provocative act even more than what he had done before. He went straight up to Lord Vishnu and kicked him on his chest. And both Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi Devi got up and they started apologizing to this Muni and said, sorry, we did not notice your presence. My chest is very hard. Maybe you're hurt. And in this way, he worshipped Bhrigu Muni. And then Bhrigu Muni came and recited this whole episode to the sages living on the banks of Saraswati, and it was concluded that Lord Vishnu is the supreme among those three deities, because he is the supremely tolerant, and this tolerance is a great quality. And then, however, we may think that, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are inferior, but this is not the case, because Sanatana Goswami says about all the personalities in the Bhagavatam that their qualification, one of the qualifications for them to be in the Bhagavatam is they are completely willing to be vilified, made infamous, if it will serve the purpose of glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, when we have to do some difficult services sometimes, and we should actually try to absorb the blame or whatever mistake might have happened to ourselves. By the way, Prabhu, either you chant or you listen to the class. You cannot do both of the things at the same time because you're not paying attention to either. So anybody who needs to chant and needs to complete their rounds or is chanting extra rounds, you feel free to go ahead and do that in a secluded place where you will not be disturbed by the speaker. You can do so. No problem. Absolutely no problem. So we should absorb that and say that if there's any mistakes here, by the way, it's my fault. Not that we pass on the fault to our superior. उन्होंने ऐसे बोला है भाई, इसलिए मैं ऐसे कर रहा हूँ. I'm not I'm just a messenger. We should not do that. We should say, this is it, and we should try our best to defend our authority to the best of our capacity. Just like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are setting the example. They are antaryami. They know what is Bhrigu purpose. They are Trikalagyas. So they know this. But in spite of that, they are acting in this particular way. So Sanatana Goswami is saying this in his purports, just so that we don't end up insulting this great personality, saying, look at this Lord Shiva, look at this Lord Brahma. In fact, Lord Brahma is our Sampradaya Acharya. So insulting him is the third offense against the holy name, disobeying the instructions of the spiritual master. We cannot do that. In the 18th verse of this chapter, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, in this way, the Lord has expanded himself into Rakshasas, Asuras, and the Devatas. So it might seem a little bit strange. There might be a scope for some misunderstanding. So this is what happens in the Upanishads. It says, Eko Bahusyam, which means that I am one, I shall be many. So Krishna is continuously expanding us. There was never a time, Natvevaham Jatunasam, Natvam Neme Janadipa. Krishna says that there was never a time when all of us were not present, and there will never be a time when all of us will not be present. So Krishna is eternally extending us, manifesting us from his personal self in different kinds of forms to enjoy different kinds of pastimes. Because fun is when you have association. When you don't have association, there's no fun, even if you're the multi-billionaire. Right? People are very sad. Rich people especially, very, very sad people. Met a lot of them. Okay, so, but the misunderstanding can be, if the Rakshasas and the Asuras are coming from the Lord, then does that mean that the Lord is demoniac? Does that mean that, since all the Asuras and Rakshasas are coming? That's not true. It's a personal choice that all jivas make, whether they want to be a Sura, Asura, or Rakshasa. So it's a personal choice because every jiva has full freedom. The Lord is Abhigna Swarat. We are not Abhigna. We definitely have a minute portion of the Swarat quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tiny, minute independence. And so we choose to do whatever we like to do based on our tiny, minute independence that has been given to us. So it is said that because of that tiny independence, our personal false ego, the shadow of our false ego, manifests itself as Rajoguna and Tamoguna manifestations in our behaviors. So it's basically just a shadow of our false ego, because we have turned Krishna Surya Sama, Maya hai Andhikar, Jahan Krishna Taha Nai, Mayar Adhikar. So because we have turned away from Krishna and manifesting a certain kind of false ego as a man or a woman, as so many different things, is why we're experiencing this different Deva, Asura, etc., etc. Okay, because Deva means those who have committed some punya karma, right? They are the Devas, and those who are committed some papa karma, taneham, kshipamyaham ajasram. So Krishna says that I push the sinful persons to lower and lower species. So those are the Asuras and those are the Rakshasas. Okay, but Krishna says also in the Bhagavad-gita, Nadatya kasyachit papam nachaiva sukritam vibhu adlane navritam tena muhyanti jantava. So Krishna does not even take papa and punya from anybody. So what to speak of him manifesting papa and punya in anybody? So Krishna is completely transcendental. So nobody should understand that. Even though chatur varnim maya sishtam guna karma vibhagashah tasya kartaram api mam Vidhi akartaram avyayam. Akartaram and avyayam. Kartaram api akartaram avyayam. So he's completely transcendental to all of these things. So there are hundreds and thousands of such references in the Vedic scriptures, right? So that tell us, in the 15th chapter, for example, Krishna says, Smat ksharam atitoham. Aksharadapi chottama. So there are two kinds of living entities, Kshara and Akshara. Aksharas are the eternal Vaikuntha Vasis who have never dreamed of coming to the spiritual world. And the Ksharas are the people who have fallen and can be reformed. But Aksharadapi chottama. Atosmi loke vedecha pritita purushottama. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, in the 15th chapter, he says that I'm above both the Aksharas and the Ksharas. So because only the Akshara or the Kshara can potentially, choose to become an Asura, etc., nobody else can do it, right? Only Krishna is completely transcendental. And we are singing that every day. Namameshwaram Satchidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam. We are singing that. Satchidananda Rupam. Satchidananda Rupam is full of eternity, knowledge and bliss. So someone who is full of eternity, knowledge and bliss, how can he directly manifest something that is not eternity, knowledge and bliss? Therefore, we are also Satchidananda, but we are covered up by the modes of material nature. So I hope that clears up any misunderstandings. Okay, so we have the choice. Urdhvam Gacchvan, Srila Prabhupada's disciples are writing here. Mode of goodness, urdhvam gacchanti sattvatsa, madhye tishtanti rajasa, jaganya gunavattistha, adho gacchanti tamasa. We have the choice of how we want to go, where we want to go, full choice. Like it's in our hands, how we choose to behave. Whether we choose to attend Mangala arati or sleep in, whether we choose to chant our rounds of attention, we don't. These are all personal choices that all of us make on a daily basis. Whether we choose to treat somebody with respect or we choose to treat somebody rudely, just because they are powerless. Like somebody might be a child, somebody might be a unknown person, and we say, hey, we can be a little bit harsh with them. It's our choice, it's our personal choice. So that krodha, parushyam, etc., we can choose to manifest that in our hearts or not. It's our personal choice. Okay, so that is about the 18th verse of that chapter. So now if you look at the 19th one, which does not have a purport, there's one important point that the disciples of Srila Prabhupada are making in the translation, in the translation of that. So, in what has happened is the Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam Gunap Karma Vibhagashaha has been kind of corrupted, especially in India, by inserting Janma into the whole process. If you're in Janma of a particular type, then you're of a particular Varna, otherwise not. In that, there are different kinds of Brahmins, so the highest category of the Brahmins are known as the Saraswat Brahman. They are known as the highest category of the Brahmins. But actually, the definition of Saraswat Brahman is given in the Bhagavatam. Who are they? Who are the Saraswat Brahmans? They are the people who are Itham Saraswata Vipra, who are living on the banks of the river Saraswati and engaged in discussing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is the conclusion? The conclusion is, after they understood SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple, Vishaka ki jai, Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Gaurnitaya, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna. So they just had their breakfast. What is the important, it doesn't have a purport. Sometimes people ask why Srila Prabhupada did not give purports. It's because the translation was enough and there was no further need of writing a purport. Like Srila Prabhupada's statements are complete. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada's disciples also followed in their footsteps. You can see wherever they need to quote Srila Prabhupada or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the 10th, 11th and 12th cantos, they did that without inserting any of their own personally motivated interpretations, etc. And here in the translation it says that the learned Brahmanas living along the river Saraswati came to this conclusion in order to dispel the doubts of all people. All people, and thereafter they rendered devotional service to the Supreme Lord's lotus feet and attained His abode. So here is a takeaway point. Once we understand what is what, once we enter the process of Krishna consciousness, we read the Bhagavad-gita, maybe we read the Bhagavatam, we read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we follow lectures. After that, we have to put it into action. We have to act on it. Karishya vachanam tava, gatosmi sthita sandeha, karishya vachanam tanda. I have understood the Bhagavad-gita, my dear Krishna. And what's the proof? Karishya vachanam tava. Similarly, there are many verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? There's one verse, Etan nirvidya mananam ichhatam akuto bhayam yoginam nipanirnitam harer namanu kirtanam. So Srila Prabhupada has given us the holy name, the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So if there are any distractions in our life to chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we should figure out how those distractions can be eliminated. Sometimes we can be right in the middle of devotional service, completely distracted from what we are supposed to be doing right now. I'm distributing books, but I'm looking at my phone. Right? I'm supposed to be distributing books. People are passing by, but I'm looking at my phone. Right? Yes, there may be a time for me to look at my phone because my services might depend on it. But when I'm at the bookstall, looking for people trying to distribute a book is not the time to look at my phone. When I'm chanting, not to look at my phone, right? When I'm in a class, not the time to think about what I'm going to dress the deities tomorrow, right? There are different times and different places and different circumstances for each of these services. But still, here, they have reached a conclusion. Okay, Bhrigu Muni, you have brought us the authoritative information by personal experience, by pratyaksha praman. He has personally gone to all these places and done these different activities at great risk, to personal risk to himself. Like he has committed offenses against Vaishnavas, like kicking Lord Shiva. Can you believe that? Like Bhrigu Muni and all the Brahmanas are ever cursed by Parvati Devi for kicking the Lord on his chest and abusing Lord Shiva and insulting his father, Lord Brahma. He took such great risk. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. We don't have to offend any Vaishnavas to come to any conclusions. But the fact is that after they came to the conclusion, what did they do? Thereafter, they rendered devotional service to Supreme Lord's lotus feet and attained his abode. So Supreme Lord's lotus feet are here, right here in his International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So our service is that service. So yesterday, Ramnishta Prabhu was saying, give a push, make a little push. So what I took away from that is, give a push first of all to myself, kick myself a little bit, push a little bit harder, do a little bit more than what I have been doing so far, right? So that one. Okay, now we should ask, okay, what action lotus feet to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So in the next verse, in the verse number 20 of this chapter, it is very beautifully described, okay? So, Shri Suta Uvacha, and this is very nectarian. The Srimad Bhagavatam is very nectarian, because first of all, it is interactions of the Lord with his devotees or devotees amongst themselves. And then on top of that, there is the nectar of Srila Shukadev Goswami, Shukhamukad, like it has come through the mouth of Shukadev Goswami. And just like they say, agar peru hai, guava is touched by the beak of the parrot, that one is very, very sweet, they say, right? So it's just like that. This Bhagavatam has become sweet. And then on top of that, Suta Goswami is adding his own sweetness and his own beautiful praises of Shukadev Goswami's realizations here. So he's saying here, Piyusham bhavabhavya bhit parasya pumsaha. He's saying such beautiful praises. So what is he saying? He's saying Piyusham, which means that it is a beverage that should be drunk. Some beverages cause us to feel sleepy. It's also Nidra Devi's curse to the devotees of the Lord, that whenever they try to hear about you, I shall put them to sleep because you have killed my only devotee, my greatest devotee, Kumbhakarna, who used to sleep for 6 months. Actually, the whole world is full of Kumbhakarnas today, because everybody sleeps 50% of the time these days. Like somebody who does not sleep 50% of the time is very, very rare. You can find them maybe in ISKCON, Juhu, and a few other places here and there. But otherwise, people, they invest their lives in sleeping. How to make the bed very nice, how to have beautiful air conditioning, how to do this, how to do that. Drink milk so that you can sleep well, right? Switch off your electronics, white noise machines, because the noise of traffic outside, like it's the extent to people go to try and get some sleep is really, really, really ridiculous. Okay. But how does this nectar come? How does this nectar pour, right? So in the Bhagavatam, in the previous cantos, which is why it's advised that we study the previous cantos very thoroughly, it said that the nectar comes to the ears. Pravishta karnarandrena swanam bhava saroruham dhunoti shamalam Krishna salilasya tha sharat. So this nectar is poured to the ears. So when we hear the Bhagavatam on a regular basis, it doesn't matter who is giving the Bhagavatam class. It might be a very advanced devotee or it might be a neophyte. One should hear that Pravishta Karanarandrena Swanam Bhava Saroruvam. And if there is nobody giving class, or if we are traveling or difficult, or we have some free time or something, we should read ourselves. Srimad Bhagavatam has been made available even in our phones. Like even on a flip phone, you can read the Bhagavatam these days. So there's no real excuse. Like Gauranga Darshan Prabhu has made all these little booklets where we can take the Bhagavatam, tiny packets of the Bhagavatam with us when we cannot take the full volume because we are traveling. But, and if you're going out on book distribution, no problem. You have whole sets of Bhagavatam with you. So you can definitely arrange to read. Pravishta Karanarandrena, he enters through the ears. Right? And then what happened? Autumn rainfall is an experience that you may not have in Mumbai. When it rains in Mumbai, it really rains. Like it starts raining and everything becomes muddy and kichad and chikhal and all these things happen everywhere. But there are other parts of the country and other parts of the world also where there's a particular thing, especially Vrindavan, it definitely happens. In the Western countries also, where I live, it happens. Where in the autumn, the rain is very, very gentle. It's very, very, and it's somehow ionized. The clouds are somehow, the drops of water are ionized. So you know what ions do? Ionized stuff, when it touches the colloidal suspensions of the dirty, muddy water, all the suspended matter sinks to the bottom of the lake or the river or whatever, and then the water becomes very, very clear. That clear water. Our heart is very, very muddy, like it's agitated with so many things. It's very difficult. We encounter, even when distributing books, somebody insults us or somebody says some crazy apasampradaya thing, and, we get, especially me, like, when somebody comes and says something like that, I want to get into a fight and my hands are trembling like this. I can say, okay, my heart is really agitated right now. I need to calm down. I need to calm down. Because it's not going to serve the purpose of getting angry here. It's not going to work. In the beginning, it was a lot more difficult 15, 20 years ago when I was trying to distribute books. Now it's a little easier, but still, sometimes agitation comes when you're preaching to somebody and somebody is saying something crazy or insulting, or, so we have to calm ourselves down a little bit, because otherwise we cannot leave a good impression, and what's the use of that, okay? But what happens after that? What happens after that is Dhautatma Purusha Krishna. The very next verse says, Dhautatma Purusha Krishna Pada Moolam na Munchati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Pantha Swasharanam Yatha. So we are like travelers in this verse, 20th verse. You read the translation. A traveler who constantly drinks his nectar through his ear holes will forget the fatigue brought on by wandering along the paths of worldly life. So we are all travelers, we are traveling through these bodies. Just yesterday, my body was a young body like yours. And today I'm proceeding towards the other side of life, like the body is changing constantly. It felt like just like yesterday. And trust me, it's going to happen to you also, all of you. Shubhavilas Prabhu, one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, says that Srila Prabhupada was carrying a walking stick. And Shubhavilas Prabhu was looking at the walking stick. And Srila Prabhupada practically ascertained what was going on in the minds of his young disciples. He was looking at his stick. And Srila Prabhupada says, don't think this is not going to happen to you. Srila Vilas Prabhu is in Toronto. He's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And he says, don't think this is not going to happen to you. So now Srila Vilas Prabhu himself is in that age, very advanced, in his late 70s. Very delicately he has to move around, and he has to carry a stick, and somebody has to help him around. If there are crowds, it's very dangerous for him. He can easily fall off his feet. And then he has a stick, and he shakes his stick at us and he says, don't think this is not going to happen to you. So that's parampara. It's passed on to all of us, and I can start experiencing those kinds of things. Some of us will be there. So in this, there are two key phrases in this particular 20th verse, okay? Padma Gandha Piyusham. It's lotus. It has the fragrance of a lotus, and you can drink it, like that. We may not feel that way, and especially in the beginning, we may not feel that it's Padma Gandha Piyusham. We may not feel like that, because we are, like Rupa Goswami says in his Syat Krishna Nama Charitad Sitapya Vidya Pittopataptara Sanasya Nirochikanu Kintu Adarad Anudinam Khalu Saiva Jushta Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tadgada Mula Hantri. He says, yes, we are like deceased people. Jo meetha hai, meetha nahi lagta hai. कड़वा है वो मीठा लगता है. Like we feel like, oh, these people outside in the material world are having so much fun. Look at that car and look at the sense and enjoyment that this person is experiencing. We feel like that. But eventually, when we practice devotional service after some time, we actually see the bitterness in all of those things and the sweetness in these things. So jab tak nahi hai, until then we can remain patient and we can just किंतु आदराद अनुदिनम खलु सैव जुष्टा स्वाद्वी क्रमाद भवति तद्गदम मूलहंत्री. So with due course of time, it will come. It has come. You ask any senior devotees here. There are so many senior devotees here in ISKCON Juhu. You ask them, Prabhu, आपको ये सब मीठा लगता है? And you can see that, yes, they are here for 30, 40 years. Who will stay there, for 30, 40 years if it's not sweet? They will try some other things. Sometimes people try to change their situations, go outside the ashram, do something different, try some different thing, etc., etc. Okay? So, what is the application of all of this? Oh, by the way, the other phrase that I meant to stress upon was this phrase, bhava bhaya bhit. So, anybody who is here right now, listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam class, knows that I am not this body. And they are afraid of death. They know that death is a significant transfer order, and I don't know where I'll be transferred to. Sometimes we are transferred from one temple to another temple, one department to another department. That's okay. We're still in the department of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. But sometimes we might be transferred outside, right? Like somebody has a desire to experience some sense gratification. They might be transferred to experience that sense gratification. And that is very dangerous because we don't know where we are going to land up, whether we're going to have any facility. So, bhava bhaya bhit. We are all like bhava bhaya bhit. On one side, Srila Prabhupada said, devotee is fearless, abhaya charana aravinda. And on the other side, Srila Prabhupada said, devotee maintains a healthy fear for Maya. Healthy fear that something can go wrong here, something can happen here. I should be very careful now. I should be very careful. I'm alone right now, or I'm in such and such a circumstance. Anything can happen. I should be careful. I should be careful. Bach ke chalo yahan se. Like yesterday they were cleaning the ashram, very diligent cleaners here. And they were cleaning the ashram with soap water. They were washing the floor, soap water. And I was coming to the temple, and they were saying, Prabhu, bach ke. There's soap water on the floor everywhere. So they said it will be done in 15 minutes, but right now you're walking through the soapy water. So we are like that, going through the world very gingerly, very carefully. Kuch bhi ho sakta hai, abhi gir sakta hu main. Right? Be very afraid. There was a pastime of Srila Prabhupada, a famous pastime of Srila Prabhupada. Where Srila Prabhupada, somebody said, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada heard Srila Prabhupada said, I will never fall down. I will never fall down. I will never fall down, Srila Prabhupada said. Maya cannot catch me. So he said that. And then Srila Prabhupada was going in front of the deity and intensely praying. And the disciple also observed this. The devotee also observed this. He was going in front of the deity and praying. And this devotee asked, so Srila Prabhupada, when you are in front of the deity, what do you pray for? What does an advanced devotee pray for? This devotee was curious about that. And Srila Prabhupada said, I was praying to Krishna to please not let me fall down. And devotee, he knew, he was saying this to different people, but there was one common hearer of all of these things. And Srila Prabhupada turned to this devotee who observed all of these pastimes. Rajari Prabhu is here. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And so he was saying, I will not fall down precisely because every moment I am praying to the Lord not to let me fall down. So the advanced devotee is not overconfident. They still follow the regulative principles. They still, they don't take liberties. They maintain distance where they are supposed to maintain distance. And, they don't. But the neophyte devotee, they were out on book distribution. It's easy for them to get talmal, something can happen. It can happen, especially on book distribution, okay? So, I'll conclude now. But before that, I'll just do a quick revision. What we did in this class today is we looked at the context of where we are. We are on the 89th chapter. Very soon, the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto will be completed here in Juhu. There are devotees here who may have heard, right from the first canto, right? So, all glories to them, because anybody who hears the Bhagavatam in that way is guaranteed guaranteed, guaranteed to reach the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Even the first 9 cantos, leave alone the 10th canto, Srila Prabhupada has given that blessing. Anybody who thoroughly studies the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first 9 cantos will be a God-realized soul at the end of it. And if we are not, then we have not actually read it. So yesterday Ramanishta Prabhu was saying, how many times you're supposed to read? Minimum. How many times? 3 times. Okay, so there was a survey done in one GBC meeting a few years ago. Vaisheshika Prabhu tells this story. And because it was a closed group of peers, they were very honest with each other. And they say, how many of you have read Srila Prabhupada's books? All of Srila Prabhupada's books. Please raise your hands. And no, I'm not asking right now. I'm saying that the GBCs and the Gurus in ISKCON, only about 30% of them raise their hands. Can you believe it? So, and then a resolution was passed informally that we should all please read Srila Prabhupada's books. That's what Srila Prabhupada created the books for. And we are the leaders of the society. Yad yad acharati shreshthas tatta devetaro jana. So everybody should read Srila Prabhupada's books. Recently I was in Hyderabad, where there was a great disciple of Srila Prabhupada who just left us. He rejoined Srila Prabhupada, Anandamaya Prabhu. He just left us. And he says, Srila Prabhupada's books are our only friends. One should have a healthy habit of reading every day. Every day we should read Srila Prabhupada's books, however little, however much, according to our situation and service. You can't say, Prabhu, I can't go out on Sankirtan, I need to read Srila Prabhupada's books. I can't go out on fundraising, I need to read Srila Prabhupada's books. We can't say that, but we should find a way to read Srila Prabhupada's books carefully. That's what Srila Prabhupada wrote them for, okay? So we looked at where we are, we're in the 10th canto. We looked at a potential, misunderstanding that the Lord is a source of demoniac mentality. The Lord is a source of Rakshasi mentality. That's not true. We are the source of it. Lord is the source of Sachidananda Vigrahas, all of us here. But we have forgotten that. And we have this, we proved through few statements of the Shastras that the Lord cannot be a source of anything that is negative. For the Lord, everything is auspicious and it's the Lord's pastime. For us, we make it negative or positive. We looked at the meaning of Saraswat Brahman. It has nothing to do with your birth. It has to do with where the activity that you perform. If you are actually at the banks of the river Saraswati, or in the modern world, you are actually in an ashram or in a, you can make your home into an ashram. Anybody can do it, even grahasthas, anybody can do it, right? We talked about that. We looked at what comes after the knowledge. If you are knowledgeable, mujhe ye sab kuch pata hai, to fir please show what you are doing about it. What is your action about it? So that's an important thing. We also looked at what action. The action is to listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam continuously and to mold our lives in such a way that we can hear the Bhagavatam. And naturally, if we hear, we will also start speaking the Bhagavatam. Right? It's a natural process. On the street, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, when they're distributing books, they don't have statements that they have made up themselves. They go in front of a person and they hand them a book and they say, the absolute truth is the reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Like they actually say the translations of Srila Prabhupada's books, and that's how I have seen many disciples of Srila Prabhupada distributing books like that. Like they read so much, and because they read so much, it becomes memorized. Okay, so then we talked about following the process of, we are going to conclude now, right? We follow the process of devotional service. If we do that, we automatically will lose the taste for devotional service, right? Syat Krishna Nama Charitad Sthapa Vidya Kintu Adarad Anudinam Khalu Saiva Jushtad Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tadgada Mula Hantri. Those of us who continue to hear and chant, the swad will come, and it's unexplainable. Many years ago, when I got my book here in Mumbai in front of Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus, I don't know who the brahmachari was who distributed me the book, right? I was thinking that he's a joker. Kisne iska sar munda ke orange kapda pehna ke yahan par khada kar diya hai book ke sath? Who has done this to him? I have to find out what they have done to him so I can, next time I see one of these shaven-headed jokers, I will show him how life should be actually lived. That was my arrogance at that point in time. I don't know who this brahmachari is who has distributed me the book, the Bhagavad-gita, more than, 30 years ago, practically. He distributed the book. I don't know who is this brahmachari, because I did not, I was not grateful to that person. I was very offensive toward that person. But now I am one of those shaven-headed jokers, right? So, so I don't wear saffron. I'm a grihastha, but I'm one of them. And I'm so grateful to that brahmachari for joining me in the club, shaven-headed fellows. Shaven-headed means that we are trying to cut down our material desires. That's what it means, shaven-headed. That's why we shave our heads. And we don't. One lady asked me yesterday, "ऐसे करना जरूरी है क्या?" I said, no, it's a personal choice. We do it out of personal choice. So anyway, nowadays being shaven-headed is a very fashionable thing. But so, everybody is shaving their heads. Even the karmis are fully shaven. All the asuras are fully shaven-headed. But they are growing other kinds of hair, which is even more dangerous. Anyway, so it's not good for us to keep beards. Yeah, it's not good. So why is the process given by Srila Prabhupada? Why is it that we follow that process? Okay, so we have proof that he made it, right? Anybody who you can look at the video of him translating the 12th chapter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam and giving purport to it, knows that this person is on his deathbed and he's trying to translate the Srimad Bhagavatam. He's not worried about anything material, which means that the process that he followed works. 100%, guaranteed. We have proof. Not only him, we have also proof of his disciples who have left. Even those who stopped following, the process worked for them. Right? So we know that this has happened. Many other devotees, grand disciples, even great-grand disciples, there are so many examples of this. We know that the process works. And we know from Shastra that dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajanayena gatah sa pantha. So we know that it's very difficult, the Shrutayo Vibhinna and the Muni Matam na Bhinnam, this is all very confusing. Right? We can go around like the Saraswat Brahmins trying to figure out what is Supreme Absolute Truth. Or we can say, Bhrigu Muni, please go and find out who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and we'll do accordingly. Or we know Srila Prabhupada has made it. He reached the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Assuming that he was not already at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, like all the devotees know that he's already a Nitya Siddha, he struggled for 44 years just to show us, but still, assuming that he was not, assuming that he was a Baddha, even if he's not, but even if you assume that, you know that in the 81 years of his life, at the end of 81 years, he reached the lotus feet of the Lord. So therefore, follow the process that Srila Prabhupada has given us, and it works, and it will take us to the final destination, and we will feel that even when we have not yet reached the point. Like, I am far from whatever destination, but even I can feel that this thing works, this process works. And I've seen the changes that have come about in me from that day when I was thinking such offensive things to the devotee who was distributing the Bhagavad-gita around 30 years ago, and till today, when I am that fellow calling everybody like a madman, please come chant Hare Krishna one round, please come take this book, take a look at this book. No, it's easy to understand. Yes, you can understand. Yes, it's only 300 rupees. What's 300 rupees anyways these days? Like, I'm doing all of this stuff, standing on the street corners, like wherever possible. It's a fact that this process works. So my request to all of you, those of you are not fully convinced yet, is to get fully convinced by reading Srila Prabhupada's books and associating with the devotees who are fully convinced. See the transformation that they bring about in our lives. Like, I'll tell you one thing, Ramru Prabhu, who is your pujari here, head pujari, right? He is the mentor of one of my Atmavadarsha gurus, right? So you can see that it goes such a long way. All of these seeds that people plant go such a long way. This process really, really works. Okay? So with that, I'll conclude. If there's any questions, comments, corrections, or clarifications, please go ahead. Wait for the mic.
Prabhu, is it possible for one in the mode of passion or ignorance to transcend the modes as fast compared to mode of goodness?
Devotional service is not dependent on the modes. It's apratihata. Yatma suprasidati. It's apratihata. Like, somebody can be in the mode of ignorance. Like, we have so many guests coming, right? You cannot certify that all of these people are in the mode of goodness. Like, by the way, karmis, what we call karmis, people who are doing work for fruitive results, in the Bhagavatam, in these verses that we today studied, are classified as asuras, demons. So when we are dealing with karmis outside, who are they? They're demons. But we are trying to distribute books to them, and they're taking, isn't it? Not just that mode of goodness people are taking our books. Everybody is taking. Yesterday, one devotee was telling me about when they went out on book distribution. What's his name? Sahil? Sahil was next to me and he was telling me about one story when they went out to one village. And one drunk man, completely drunk, said, I want to give you something. What can I give you? And he said, well, give us something that we can use for the service of Krishna. So he gave them 15 liters of milk. He took them with the pots and he took them somewhere and he gave them 15 liters of milk. So brahmacharis were distributing milk prasadam, like offered it to the Lord and they're distributing. So did that person get benefit? Yes, 100%. He has some kind of adnyata sukruti or jnata sukruti. He may not remember what he did when he was drunk. But he has it. Right? We have so many. Like there was one person, I was standing in Toronto in December during the marathon month, distributing books. And there was this one lady who observed that I was standing there for a long time and nobody was paying any attention to me. And then she said, and she also observed that people, like in one case, some couple of young boys, they came and they took the book and they ran away with it. Right? So this happened once. And then other people, like, they did not give me a donation, or one person gave me a lighter, or like you take anything when you're out there on, and this lady was observing me for a long time. I don't know. She was in a mall or something. She was observing me standing on the street there, trying to distribute books. And then she came and she gave me. She said, "What do your books cost?" She said, "How many books are in your bags?" I looked at it and I said, "About $200 worth of books in my bag." And she went to the ATM, and the ATM has a limit. You can withdraw a certain amount of money based on how many notes it can dispense. So it can dispense $20, 20 bills. Many ATMs have $400 limit. So she withdrew the full $400 from her account, and she gave me a donation like that. And then, you know what? After doing this, she did not take a book. She did not take a book. She said, "I don't need this. I won't read this. You give it to somebody else." But did she get the benefit? Was she in the mode of goodness? Somewhat. Was she really in the mode of goodness as stated in the Bhagavatam? No. Because otherwise she would have taken a book, no? My whole book bag was only $200 worth. She gave me a $400 donation. So yes, it's possible. And everybody can do it. And there is no restriction whatsoever. Thank you. Anybody else? The merciful dispenser of Srila Prabhupada's sandalwood paste.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Oh, by the way, we were observing one. Everybody, all the devotees are hankering to get Srila Prabhupada's prasad. Right? And today, one man, he cut the line. He did not know that there was a line, but he came in front of me, and Prabhu was ready to give him the prasad, Srila Prabhupada, and he just passed through it. Was that person in the mode of goodness? He was not looking to see what is happening here. He was just trying to get to the front somehow. So anyway, we had a little chuckle ourselves.
Prabhuji, in this 18th verse, it's mentioned that the Lord expands himself in the three forms, like asuras, rakshasas, and demigods. So, how, in terms of modes, we can understand, but then how we can say Lord expanded himself as rakshasas or asuras?
So, Lord expands himself as jivas. Right? Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. And then, mana shasthani indriyani prakritani sthani karshati. So, the being mana shasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati is the choice of the living entity. We don't have to be like that. None of us have to be like that. We don't have to be mana shasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. This karshan, this is not required. This is our own personal choice. Right? So, we know from Gajendra's story, from so many pastimes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that it's a momentary decision that I will be a pure devotee. My Guru Maharaj asks the question to all his disciples, why you are not a pure devotee? Can you give me a good reason why you are not a pure devotee? There is no good reason. Like you start, who can answer back to your spiritual master, right? But even if you start trying to answer, what answer can you give? What answer can you give? What is a good reason why you are not a pure devotee? No good reason. I'm just wasting my time. So it's like that. The Dvavima Purusha Loke Ksharashchaksare Vacha is a personal choice. It's not that the Lord has created some people as Kshara and some people as Akshara. That would make the Lord partial. But Lord is none. He's like Name Karma Phales Viha. Like he's not interested in any partiality. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says that the Lord is impartially partial. Right? It's a famous. He coins such beautiful phrases. So he says impartially partial. That means that he is partial to those who have chosen to accept his shelter, because they have accepted his shelter. ये शरण मेरे शरण में आया, मेरा कर्तव्य है. I will take care of this boy, this living entity who has come into my shelter. But does everybody have the choice to surrender? Choose? Yes, everybody has. Devamrita Swami Maharaj, who is in New Zealand, he says, develop your choice muscles. You know, have you heard that phrase, choice muscles? We all have muscles, right? We have biceps, triceps, all these different kinds of muscles. But you know, we also have choice muscles. So when we Prakriti Kriyamanani Guna Karmani Sarvasha, when we go in the Prakriti Kriyamanani, then we are not exercising our choice muscles. We are choosing to go as reflex action. Jaise dhara beh rahi hai, we are just flowing with the whatever the river, the current of the material, the Traigunya. We are flowing in that. But when you say, nahi, my nature is to watch this particular thing, or my nature is to have a chat with this fellow on this particular topic, but I'm not going to do it. I will not do it. I'm hungry right now, but I will wait for 1 hour till I reach the ashram, and then I will take prasad. Or in the worst case, I will go to Govinda's if I have to. Right? I'm not going to eat outside on this stall here. Right? It's a choice that we're making. Hunger is there, right? So a person has a choice. Yes, he has a justification. Hunger is there, so he should eat. But if he can wait for 1 hour or 2 hours, whatever it takes to get back to the ashram, and you call one of your brothers in the ashram and say, please save me a plate of prasad, I'm running late here, traffic mein phas gaya hu. And then they will keep it. So that choice muscle is what we have to strengthen. And people like Srila Prabhupada and other advanced devotees, their choice muscles are like rippling, you know, six-pack choice muscle. So because they have exercised it so much. So that's what is like that. So it's our personal choice. So that's why the misunderstanding should be not there that somebody has created somebody as Asura and somebody as Deva. No. He has created everybody equally. And then somebody is choosing to be a Deva, somebody is choosing to be Asura, somebody is choosing कि मैं वैकुंठ छोड़ के जाऊंगा नहीं यहाँ से. That person is Akshara, who has made the choice like that. Who has made the choice कि मैं I want to experience what this person is experiencing. That person is Akshara. Please, Prabhu.
But it seems that you did many book distribution seva, like regularly you would be going. So can you share one incident where it was like your faith increased, ki, okay, this seva is the best thing I can do, and some incidents?
Oh, so many, Prabhu. Like, do you read Vijay Prabhu's Sankirtan newsletter? So if you give me your email address, I will ask him to add you to that his mailing list. He was the book distribution minister for ISKCON before, and I have personally met him in California out distributing books. Right? He is very, like, even at the age of late 70s, he used to go park his van at a university campus, set up a book table, and have conversations with the students while he is doing the book distribution. And what he does is, to encourage the community of book distributors, he publishes Sankirtan stories. He even published a book, I forget the name of the book, but it's full of Sankirtan stories that he has collected over the last many, many years. And he continues to collect the stories. So you can email him your story, and he has a team who edits the story, because all of us cannot be great writers. So we write somehow, and then he edits the story to make it very attractive, easy to read, etc. And then he publishes it to his mailing list. Hundreds of book distributors, thousands of book distributors are on it. So yes, you can read the story. Every day your faith in book distribution will increase, because I may have such an experience sometimes, rarely. Actually, it happens very regularly for anybody who's distributing books, but others are having it also. So it's like a echo chamber full of Sankirtan stories. Please give me your email, send me an email, and I will ask Vijay Prabhu to add you to the mailing list. And whoever wants to can do it. das@dasadas.com. Say, please add me to book distribution list, and I will add you. Okay, for one story here is, there was one couple. And I was discussing with them, and they were only arguing with me. argument ke upar, just arguing with me and just depleting my energy. You know, sometimes you have these people who don't leave you, they are stuck there, and you don't know कि इसका अभी कैसा मैं पीछे चढ़ा हूँ. How can I let this person go? Like it's an art to let somebody go also, because our whole 1 hour will be taken by that. So I was trying to get rid of them. I was trying to say yes, you know, thank you very much, you are very clever. I was saying whatever, but they were not leaving me at all. And finally, after 40 minutes, they left me alone. I was like heaving a sigh of relief. And nearby where I stand, I go to Old City Hall in Toronto, which is a beautiful building. And uske, like there's a katta. There's like like a platform there where people sit just to shoot the breeze sometimes. And then one person came who I was not speaking to, but he was like few feet away, and he heard the whole conversation and he took books. So it's like, I don't know who I am speaking to. Like we are speaking to, we are actually speaking to Krishna in the heart. Which Krishna is telling, as Paramatma is telling which soul to take the book, we cannot find out. We don't know. We are just speaking, and then piche se koi aaya, and he held out some donation and he says, how many books do you have here? So I had a few small books and I had Bhagavad-gita. And because it was marathon month. Normally when I'm going out in Canada, I only take small books. Because a small book distribute karne mein, right, it takes so much effort. And it's heavy, you know, and you're standing there for a long time, and, you know, I'm not as young as I was in my body. So yeah, it happened. Like from where he came, I don't know where he came from. I don't know what conversation, what he heard, what inspired him. I have no idea like that. There are many such pastimes. Like there was another one in Hyderabad, you know. So I was trying to distribute books. I stand at a PNT colony Chaurasta, which is actually Panch Rasta, but they call it Chaurasta. So anyways, traffic going everywhere. You know how it is. Pata nahi kahan se koi ja raha hai. Like it's completely chaotic. And some political party has erected one flag post there, where they have a thing where I can keep my book bag, right? And I have to be standing against it, nahi to gir jayega wo. So I'm just standing in that corner with the Bhagavad-gitas. I'm just looking around at people, and everybody is staring at me, because it's very rare to see a shaven-headed fellow standing on the street like this, right? It's not, it should be very common, like all of us should be. Like we should be thousands of us everywhere, every street corner, they can't miss us. Unfortunately, it's not the case. We're very rare for many people, right? So just see this fellow, and they can see that he's not a poor man begging for something, like he's not a poor man. But they're curious, but they don't stop. They're driving and they might get into an accident somewhere. They're looking, but they won't stop. So, but suddenly, like from everywhere, I was having all of this conversation. From suddenly, one man came, and he was wearing a mechanic's blue overalls, you know. And on his shirt is the name Narayan. And he says, so, Swami, he says, Swami, he calls me. I tell him in Telugu that I'm not a Swami, and I'm just a Das. And he says, that's okay. How can I serve you? He asked me, right? And he says, I am distributing these books. I'm showing these books to people who are interested, and have some books. You can take any of these books, and if you want, you can give me a donation. So he said, so I don't know who this person is. I have not talked to him. I have not explained the Bhagavad-gita to him. So I give him one small book, right? And he opens up his phone, and he checks his bank account. And he says, there are X amount of rupees in my bank account, right? And he says, and there was a X 1,029 or something like that in his bank account. And he says, okay, he didn't give me the 29 rupees. He kept that because he felt like it was a insignificant thing. And he gave me the rest of the amount right there for a small book. And then I gave him a Bhagavad-gita. I'm out there. I don't have anything. I don't have anything much to distribute to him. Like, how many Bhagavad-gitas can I give him anyways? Right, so I gave him Bhagavad-gita. I gave him a small book. I gave him a small book. And I found another few books that I had of different. And I said, this set is for you. And this set is for you to distribute to somebody else. And he says, yes, I am the owner of this mechanic shop here in Dilsukh Nagar. And I have 40 mechanics working for me. And I'm going to distribute these books to them and make it a condition of their employment. You read this book, otherwise you'll be fired, like that. Right? Obviously, he has some boys who are very, very clean, right? So there are so many such things that happen every day, and happen regularly. And like I was in Pune traveling around, and I gave him a book. I was at a program, so somebody arranged a cab for my father and I to get back to NVCC ashram. So that night, and I did not have a chance to speak to him at all. But whoever arranged the cab, and he saw that there was kirtan and they were sending me off, there was some affection that devotees had for this preacher who had come to their house for the home program. And at the end, I asked him, "Tumi pustaka vasta ka?" Oh, he said. So I gave him a small book, and then he's like, "Oh." And I could see that he was a pious man because he had Vitthal Rakhumai in his car, like a deity of Vitthal Rakhumai in his car, and he had offered a flower at the lotus feet. Who does these things, right? And he had a little chadar to protect them from the sun during the daytime on their heads. So I could see that he's a pious man. I had no time. It was very late in the night. I had to go next morning. I was coming to Juhu. But he took a book and then he sent me a donation. I did not ask for a donation. He called because they were in touch, Oslaka, and all this. They were finding out if he has reached. So they were in touch with him. So he sent me a donation like couple of hours after he dropped me off. By, now if you can find out the phone number and you can send anybody a donation, right? So he actually did that. Right? I did not speak to him about anything. I gave him only a small book and he gave me how does this happen that these taxi drivers have this? Right? So there are devotees everywhere. We just have to find them. Krishnadas Kaviraj Prabhu, one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, says that Brahmanas are everywhere. We have to unearth them. We have to find them. Does that help, Prabhu? Many more. Thank you very much. We have run out of time. We are actually out of time. So I beg forgiveness in case I have said something that is not right. And thank you very much to Brajari Prabhu and to Hemgiri Prabhu for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Harinam Mahamantra ki. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo ananta koti vaishnavinda ki jai.